Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is the Mira Consulting webinar on the end of VMware licensing and increased costs. We're just going to wait another minute to let everyone log in, and then we'll begin the presentation. Thank you. Hello again, and thank you for joining us. This is the Mira Consulting presentation on the end of VMware licensing and increased costs. We'll start the presentation in about another 30 seconds. Just want to give everyone a chance to log in. Thanks for your patience. Okay, let's begin. Thank you for joining us. This is the Mira Consulting webinar on the end of VMware licensing and increased costs. We're going to cover everything about the Broadcom purchase, the effects of it on VMware, and how they might affect you, and different actions that you can take. Now, my name is Stefan Singh. I'm the marketing manager here at Mira Consulting. This presentation was prepared and will be presented by Vince Allison, one of our software licensing experts. I also have my team of analysts on the call with me today, so if you have any questions, feel free to use the question box, and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Additionally, I imagine many of you are like me, and you'll feel tempted to screenshot every slide and take heavy notes on everything that's discussed. Don't worry about any of it. We're going to send you a link to the recording of this video. So without any more delay, let's dive into it. Next slide. Okay, so a bit about who we are. Mira Consulting is a leading global provider of software asset management and subscription management services for Oracle, Microsoft, IBM, Amazon Web Services, and Salesforce. We specialize in license management, audit advisory, negotiation tactics, support management, and cloud services. Essentially, what we do is we help you get a better ROI on your software license subscription investments, help you stay in compliance, and navigate audits. Now, the best part about all of this is the promise we make to our clients, our performance guarantee. Now, it's pretty straightforward. In our engagements, we can assure that our fees will be less than your cost savings. This ensures that there's no risk to you, which is a big reason why we have so many clients that love to work with us. So if you're looking to save money on any of these vendors or you're concerned about any audit, please contact us. Next slide. Okay, so with all that being said at this point, I'll hand it over to Vince. Go ahead, Vince.
Thanks, Stefan. So last year in 2023, Broadcom bought VMware. And then right around May of 2024, Broadcom announced that they were dropping Amazon Web Services as a reseller for VMware. So, in the past, when you wanted to buy VMware, you had multiple places to go to. You could buy from AWS Direct or AWS or, VMware, or a lot of even resellers out there. Now what happened is, now that they got rid of it, you only have one reseller option, which is Broadcom. And that can affect you in, quite a few number of ways. One of the biggest is reduces your pricing options, like with AWS. Let's say that you have a contract with AWS, you're buying a lot of other stuff through them, a lot of other hosting options. Now Broadcom just pulled away a pricing thing that you had that can help you get better pricing, can help you get better negotiations. The more you have with a particular company when you're buying from them, the more leverage you have as a business to get better pricing, to get better terms with it. This just kind of takes that away from you. Also, if you have a history of purchasing through AWS, again, as I said, it also takes your negotiation options. It can also take other things as well as like management of it. Now it's not, you can find, if you have issues with the purchase, if you don't like the reseller, now you could always go to another reseller. Now you're kind of stuck with it. What also can happen is, now that VMware Cloud is only sold by VMware, it really gets rid of competition. You want to buy it, you have to go through them. The prices are high. It's either you then don't buy VMware or you go to another virtual solution out there, which may not always be as an easy thing to do, but it is something to consider as you're going through. Now, what you can do is, as you're going through this, is understand what options do you have out there. Before you start signing new agreements with for VMware, or before you make a jump to somebody else, it's really good to know what's out there, why you should maybe make a jump, and what is going on. So, pricing concerns. Many customers are concerned with this because now VMware is going to be subscription only. You can't have just a product, and it's not just Broadcom that's doing this. It seems in general most publishers are switching to a subscription model. It makes better budgeting for them to know as revenue is coming in, and it just helps them have customers that are committed to them and kind of like locked in to keep buying from them. The other thing is as the subscription models are changed, one of the big things on it is Broadcom has said that the change is going to be less when you factor everything in than you would have spent in the past. However, we've had customers have seen price increases of up to 600% in their pricing that they had. The other thing is you're locked into those models that are subscription. So again, the big thing here is as you're going to subscription, you're locked in, and now you don't have the competition. So as you're locked in, you're going to keep paying these fees to VMware for the term of a contract that you have. Even though you may want to change, you kind of have to wait till the contract's done. Another thing to consider, if I can go back real quick, the big thing is there are some customers out there, some companies that are now going for courts and trying to go for antitrust investigations against Broadcom on this. Broadcom's response, as I said, they said the pricing could be cheaper. The problem is it didn't include support in the past. Not all customers want support. Not all customers need support. If you don't need it, why would you pay for it? Why do you have to get it? Now you don't have a choice. You want to buy VMware through Broadcom, you're buying it, and you're buying it with support. And that's where a lot of those 600% price increases can kick in for people that maybe have a lot of VMware, have a lot of different options with it, and now you're stuck in paying for subscriptions for everything. As I said about the antitrust, it was interesting because AT&T now is suing Broadcom for breaking their support extension contract. So AT&T had signed a contract with Broadcom with VMware to buy the products. Broadcom bought VMware. Part of AT&T's contract was they had the option to renew or to continue the particular agreement they had. Broadcom had come in and stopped it and said, no, you don't have that option anymore. They took it away. So AT&T is obviously not happy, and with the Supreme Court of New York, they're taking that up and arguing that this is not fair, that it goes against their contract that they had, and it makes Broadcom look like they're forcing them into something that they one don't want, and two that their contract says that they didn't have to buy. The thing is, AT&T, they had the option to renew. AT&T wanted to renew. Now they're being told they can't. It says also what happened is Broadcom had told AT&T will continue to provide support if they continue to buy the subscription software. Remember, AT&T didn't really want to buy the support. They wanted to buy the licensing. They didn't want the terms of this new agreement. However, Broadcom, again, is kind of forcing them into it. This AT&T is looking at it as it's going to provide additional obligations that AT&T doesn't want to commit to. It's also providing extra costs that AT&T didn't want. And it also is going to require AT&T to potentially develop new options for cover their current hardware, and the solutions that they have internally can now be changed based on these subscription requirements. Next would be like your customer management concerns. Okay, so I know that subscriptions there. I know Broadcom bought them. So how do I plan for this? What concerns do I have out there? And one of the concerns that a lot of people have on here is a lot of subscription plans have a limit on how long you can continue to use older software. The reason is the subscription, the publisher may not want to continue to use the older versions. They don't want to continue to support it. They want it out of their network. They want it out of the out of just managing it. So a lot of times in support contracts or subscription contracts, it is say you have up until this date that you can use this particular server or this particular product. That can be an issue because now you have to, it's not always a matter of just upgrading the software. You're looking at things like IT costs, IT training that have to come in. You know, you have to train your IT staff how, you know, how to use the newer versions. You may have maybe a smaller business that you have a smaller IT department, you have what you like, and you want to continue using it. You understand the security fixes can come through. However, you're fine with that. You want to keep using it to the very latest. This can make you move in times when you're not ready. Another area that concerns can be, as I've seen in my experience with hospitals, I've seen quite a few times where like a server company or hardware company will tell a hospital, we're going to this new version, you have to upgrade or you have to move this, and they'll try discounting the software or discounting the hardware by spinning it by saying, you know, hey, we'll reduce this cost off of here and we'll save you this money. The thing is that cost isn't always to the software, isn't always just to the hardware. It could be something like a MRI device out there. The hospitals will look at that and say, okay, that couple $1,000 server is fine. I really don't mind that cost. I don't want to pay the several $1,000,000 that I have to pay out for a new MRI machine or a new heart imaging machine. These are things that as an organization, you really have to consider if you're going to be forced to upgrade. And if you are, to really understand what your options are. You know, is it you're going to continue with VMware? Or are you going to continue maybe go to another competitor out there that's there? To really know your options and to know what changes you need to make and to make them now. You know, down the road, things may be happening down the road that you may be looking at maybe a couple of years ahead, but now's the time to plan. You don't want to plan right before your contract ends because now you got to kind of move everything and refresh everything right before it ends, and you don't always have the time. Okay, so support management concerns. One of the things that a lot of people complain about with support is the being outsourced. You know, you want to have maybe a local sourced support option if you want to call in or contact us because it's local time. It may be local, maybe US based, depending on your security options within your organization, depending on the terms you have in your company. Some companies can't use outside of the United States options for either support or like support cloud support even. That may not be that if you spend over customers spending over $100,000 or seeing that it's outsourced, they don't have the option. It's going there, and you don't have the option of depending where it goes. You know, in the past, sometimes there were options where a company may give you, hey, if you spend this amount or if you spend extra on support, that's there. So you're paying for support again, being forced to pay for support, and you don't really have an option of where you're getting it from and how the company's going to provide it to you. And again, it has no option to drop the support. So again, for planning for VMware costs, when you're looking at it, it's really big to look at everything. You know, you look at your hardware, you look at the software, and a lot of times with subscriptions, companies will push to you and say that, hey, a subscription is going to be easier. You know, you're going to pay this amount per month, per user, per device, per processor, you know, whatever they try spinning is what you're going to pay and go forward. And you know what? Hey, you don't have to worry about compliance anymore because now it's a subscription. We see what you're using. We don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about being non-compliant, us coming and doing an audit and you having a surprise purchase. The thing is a lot of times as you're looking for this, there's things that people overlook. There's like some of the times that they may need, some of the options they may need, negotiation options that they don't always consider. Some people look at it and think, hey, I got to buy through here. I don't have an option to negotiate. You know, they tell me you sign here and everybody has to do this and we don't change our contracts. Not always the case, especially if you look at competition. And you need to let them know that even though they may be the monopoly or they may control all sales of this particular product, it's not that product that you necessarily have to go to. So some cost that I saw from a customer was they had about 600 cores, and under the old licensing model, they were spending about $33,000 for those cores. Under the new licensing model, they're now looking at 79,000. So it's well over 100% in price increases. This wasn't, luckily these guys weren't the 600%, but as you can see, even a smaller organization, 600 cores isn't much, but you know, doubling or almost tripling kind of your pricing can be a lot. Now you have to go through and you have to increase your budget. You have to go to the executive level and get that check signed, get the more money signed over that's there that maybe you didn't plan for, you didn't know was coming. So some alternatives out there. There's Oracle KVM, an option like an on-prem option for your organization. Another one's Amazon Web Services. Remember before I mentioned Amazon out there that you can't buy it through Amazon, but Amazon can offer some things that VMware offered that can help you take advantage of it. Another big one's Azure, the virtual machines. Hyper-V, as I'll get into a little bit, is a Microsoft product. It's included in Windows Server. So if you have hardware that can run Windows, you do have an option on there to use the Windows product. Another is called HostWinds, which was like it's kind of like a management option for managing your virtual instances. That's there. Just some things to consider. Oracle KVM. Remember, this is an on-prem solution for using virtual instances with Oracle. Advertised as free. So one of the things when you look at it, you'll see that hey, this is a free option, but it's not really free. It requires Oracle for Linux. There's a lot of costs out there to consider when you're buying it. There's some, depending on how you're using it, what your usage going forward is going to be, the type of hardware, all this is going to be something you have to go with, and it's going to affect your pricing. When you do this, it's really important to have somebody that can help you through it. And that's where here at Miro, we walk you through it. We walk quite a few customers through things like this just to see, you can see the cost. And the big thing is when you're looking at competition is understanding the competition and getting that fair option of how it breaks out. We're not going to give you that spin of, we really want you to buy this one. We're going to tell you the options and you decide on the cost and you decide the pros and cons. It's not going to be a marketing spin to you. It's going to be a true comparison. Amazon Web Services. Most people are familiar with this. You have the option to buy the products with VMware Cloud. Was often perceived, again, to be more expensive than AWS. It can be more cost effective, though, when you're looking at the total cost of ownership. And it had a broader set of capabilities than maybe than Amazon Web Services could offer. Some of the benefits to the Amazon Web Services were it may appear cheaper, but again, anytime you see something that appears cheaper when you're looking at it, it's not always a fair comparison or a good thing just to look at. There's always those hidden things that surprise you. You think of like some of the airline things you see of the cheap airline ticket. By the time you add your baggage and all these other things you want to do, your costs go up. And same thing here with IT. There's things that you take for granted. It was well included in this particular subscription in the past. You didn't pay extra for it. Now, if you go to a competitor, it may be extra. But even though it may be more expensive, peace of mind and the ability to manage it has a value as well. And these are things, again, that we can help you with, see these values and understand what the changes are going to be to you and how you can see going forward. Azure virtual machines. Azure, of course, being on the Microsoft end. The Azure provides, has a bunch of different options. Again, as the options are variable, as they start giving you options, giving you different scenarios to go to, each one of those has the pros and cons and costs assigned to it. It can be very easy to things like Azure that you sign a particular subscription. And when you sign it for a particular level, but you use it more. There's things that may happen internally that you don't realize is going on in your organization, but you had planned. These things happen, it affects your usage, and that can affect you over a couple of years because your pricing goes up. It pushes you into a new level, pushes you into a new pricing level. I've seen customers with like Azure that have made purchases, did a little bit of changes or had a high usage in a particular month. And when they use that usage, it turned out that they went to a higher level and the level didn't readjust. So they were paying for a couple of years of this higher pricing that they weren't using based on just 1 month of increase. VMware Cloud, to compare that kind of to Azure, it's less comprehensive, but a lot of people think it's more user-friendly. It's one of the reasons I think people went with VMware in general is seemed to be a better management, and on this end, it could be because it wasn't Microsoft. People kind of want to look for that competition to go away from them. But here again, it's not always the usage, it's not always the product itself. It's really understanding on what you're using and how to use this particular solution. HostWinds. When I looked this up, this one was a kind of a different organization out there that I haven't really seen used much in companies, but I just like to throw out like one that a lot of people don't know or see, just to show you that there is a very large option out there to choose from. This provides constant management of like your VMware VM solutions. It offers advanced features, sort of like vMotion has, of moving your services throughout the virtual environment. It also has some good options for doing a bring your own license option, or even the hybrid, where you have things local and then it moves to the cloud and it moves back and forth constantly, depending on how it is. And it has managed and unmanaged server cloud, really good for smaller organizations or organizations that maybe want to take some cost off their IT spend. Another one, it also offers a server monitoring and backup services. Those are add-ons, of course, but just want to show that even though this is kind of a name you may not have heard of, it is an option out there, and it does have a lot of the comparisons that some of the more well-known organizations may have or may use. Okay, Oracle KVM. As I said before, remember it was advertised as free, but there are costs. So I threw a little example of a cost here. KVM Oracle for hard partitioning requires Linux Premier, about $13.99, you say $1,400 for 2 CPUs. The old licensing was under per server, but now you have the 2 CPU costs. So as the thing is if you have more than two CPUs, you can do what you can call stacking. You stack those licenses on a particular host, and it lets you continue to use those costs, that server on there. The thing to know is there may be rarely I've seen some customers where they maybe move a processor out. Let's say you had one processor, or you had three. Say you had four, you took one out. In that scenario, you're still paying for two. You can't move. If I say I have three on this one and one on this one, I'm going to put, you take buy those licenses and break it apart. No, it's always assigned to that server, regardless of the CPUs that are being used, as long as they're all covered, but you can't break it apart. Microsoft Hyper-V. This one's been around for quite a while. This is Microsoft's solution to virtualization. This can be on-prem. The licensing costs I have here are on-prem. That is, there's a minimum of 16 hosts, or for the host, the processors on the host that are out there. Pricing as needed. The virtualization for 2 instances is around $2,500 for the standard edition. The unlimited virtualization on a host is Windows Server Data Center. That's $4,500 for 16 cores. And these are for 3-year agreements. The thing to note is, as you're looking at this, Microsoft has the options to use the stacking as well, depending on how many virtual instances you want. The other big thing on here is with Microsoft, you can move that virtualization to local or to cloud-based, like Azure or another third-party virtualization. So that pricing can remain the same. And as you can see, that pricing can get confusing. There's a lot of options. And again, don't sound like a broken record here, but it's very important to work on that, to understand what your options are, to understand the costs, to understand what models are there to see. Again, VMware is a popular choice. But it's not your only option. I know a lot of customers really, when they think VMware, they think, hey, I have an ESX host, I want to use VMware, I have to use VMware, and I've been using it for years. Not necessarily the case anymore. If you do to new virtual machines that aren't properly planned, remember that can be costly. It may seem like it's a one server, but it could be using multiple cores, multiple processors out there. More data is being exchanged. These are all things that can affect your costs, that can be a surprise. I've seen that quite a bit with customers, and at the end of the day, they're looking at it saying, hey, we budgeted for this. Now we're looking at a budget that's maybe several $1 million more than we originally hoped it was going to be. And how do we get out of this? How do we fix it? We've been able to do a lot of negotiations with customers that help with that, help offset that cost, or help reduce those costs, or help negotiate those. So it's, again, when you get that, if there is an issue like that, if there is a mistake, if there is an error there, remember, we can help you. We've helped people in the past, and we've helped going through a lot of these with customers. And when license models change, it's hard to find where they're posted. If you're not a reseller, if you're not somebody that works with this every day, you may not know where to go. You type in a Google search and you look for licensing changes for a particular product. The problem is the stuff you're looking at, is it current, or is it posted on some, chat group where somebody just posts what they think the licensing should be. Do you want to go with a solution that you found online from a chat group and know that your company, one, your budget's tied to that, and two, any type of legal obligations are tied to that as well. It's really good to have somebody that understands it, can help you, and can help you know that if you make a particular decision, it's not always just financial. There's legal things as far as making sure that you're properly licensed for a version. Another thing to take away, again, Miro can help. We've worked with many customers and we work with many industries. I've personally worked with anything from very small companies to helping the U.S. Army itself when they did their VMware contract, when they created their first contract for purchasing all Microsoft software under their agreement. I worked with that. I helped them create that. So it's really good when you look at that to understand, hey, Miro, it's not just, are you too small? No. Are you too big? No. We can help you from being big, small, and in the middle. The other thing to understand is one of the benefits is we don't get any type of benefit from your choice. You choose what you want. We don't make the money on it. We don't get a kickback from the publisher or the reseller or anybody else saying, hey, if you give them this, we'll give you this money. It's not always the case when you buy from like a reseller. A lot of times resellers may have deals with publishers. I originally came from a reseller, and I know that there's that talk of, hey, if you get them this, we'll give you more customers this way, or we'll give you more money here, or more marketing funds that you can use. You really want somebody that's going to give you that unbiased review. Again, and Stefan, would you like to take the managed services?
Sure. All right. So, how we can help with your VMware purchasing. So we offer one of our products that managed services, which allows us to help keep track of changes to your organization as well as answer any VMware questions that arise. So, we'll be there as a partner to you with this particular product that will help you keep track of anything that may arise with VMware, any questions that may come along the line throughout the entire duration of the engagement. So if you plan to make any future changes or you're looking to procure anything else and you're just concerned about what may happen, feel free to ask us questions about that and you'll be secure within this product. So move on to the next slide. Okay. So with that, it looks like that's about all the time we really have for today. Now, if we didn't cover anything you wanted to hear, if you have additional questions or you'd like to learn more about how Miro can help you with your licensing situation, please contact us at info@miroconsulting.com. You can also call us at 732-738-8511, extension 1208. You can also find us on the web by Googling our name, and of course, you can email your sales rep or the person who sent you the invitation to the event. Now, again, thank you very much for your time today. My name is Stefan Singh, presenting today with Vince Allison. We will follow up with you shortly with a link to the recording in case you missed it, or if you want to share it with your colleagues. This concludes the end of the webinar. Again, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you have a great day.